Year! Happy New Year! Hey! We're starting 2021 with or without you.
Hey!
Happy New Year, everybody!
Happy New Year!
A lot going on. Like, so many people are so happy. They're like, yes, get this year over with. Get it over with. Hey, happy new federal fiscal year for the federal government. It is technically 2021. Woo! It's all over.
If only.
What's that?
If only for the rest of us.
Right. Everybody else got to wait 3 months. For the rest of you, it's just the fourth quarter. But for the federal government, it is now 2021, and they are spending money.
And it's my birthday month.
Whoa! What day is that, Dre? What day is that?
22nd.
Wow. Why don't you do your whole intro there? You can do your whole introduce yourself.
Oh, well, that's almost it. But hi, Andrea. For those of you who don't know me, good to be back, and happy New Year.
Yes. Stevie B, what's
that? Everybody, Stephen Bryan, Dean at Gov Sales University. More people say I look like a student than a dean, so I'm going to work on this wardrobe.
What are we doing right there? That's supposed to be like a dean outfit?
Yeah, work in progress, Jack. You know, just seeing what's on Amazon. And
you need some stuff, right? You need something that's more.
Yep.
Today's graduation day.
Right. I agree. So this is just my first attempt. So I got it. I was excited, like a kid, and I put it on and looking good. So
did we cheap on you? Did our prop budget cheap you up on that?
Nah, we're not gonna go there. So we nothing but the finest gear from the GovCast.
GovCast with a big budget for all our stuff.
For our duds. But yeah, everybody, I'm sure a lot of people that were, doing, their end of year deals with the federal are probably tired right now, exhausted. Everyone that was finishing the end of the quarter last week, you're probably staying up late, getting all your last deals in. So kudos to you for putting in that hard work. And if you're not tuned in today, that's all right. I understand you need your rest.
They should be up by now. It's noontime Eastern. Come on now. Come on. Yo, what's up? Go ahead, Dre. Dre was living that all night. Dre was all night till midnight running. Go ahead.
So it was really funny. So I was talking to this guy earlier, and all of a sudden we're like 20 minutes into the call, and I hear his alarm go off, and on his phone, I'm like, "Oh, is that your wake up call, or did you wake up early?" He's laughing. He's like, "No." He's like, "That's actually my call. I put that alarm on when I think somebody's trying to sell me something." And I was like, "Oh." So it's like his escape. He can use it. So I was like, oh, kind of like when you're on a blind date. Your friend calls, you say, I got an emergency, gotta go.
I'm out. I've got to go.
It was really funny.
That's funny.
That's good. Look, he must have liked what you were talking to him about because he didn't cancel out.
I asked him, I said, so pretend we didn't say that. Do you have to go now? He's like, no. I was like, yes.
Oh, I'm so intrigued, right? That happens so many times. So we are so excited as we start the federal fiscal year. I've been clowning around about that for a couple of weeks. So exciting. And one of the things we want to do, is a little commercial. It's just help folks sell to the government. That's the whole reason we do this LinkedIn Live. It's the whole reason we exist as a company is to help folks sell to the government, help companies sell to the government. We also actually, full disclosure, work with the government as well. We try to help them find vendors, help them make sure they get, meet all their, when they try to find socioeconomic classified companies. We want to help the government operate more efficiently as well. And we want to help companies do business with the government because there's a lot of folks feel like it can be super hard and painful and take 6 to 9 months and I don't want to do it. And government always wants the cheapest thing. And why would I even try and all these things. And so we try to really debunk a lot of that and get folks involved in the process and help them win some government business. And then as we all know, COVID took off. And so it's come even just a crazier process. And, for whatever it's worth for us, we've actually had some of our biggest months and our biggest quarter now, back-to-back quarters, as folks are now looking at selling to the government because they spend a ton of money and they always pay, right? And so Dre was pulling out her hair all night. Stevie B, enrollment in GSU is exploding. And so what we're doing with the government is it's just amazing. And today
Fun fact.
What's that?
Fun fact I found out this morning, there's this company that sells UV something disinfectants. But anyways, his company has 10X since COVID started, literally so busy. He's selling to all the different schools and counties that are opening up. He said he's never been more busy.
Oh, yeah. I think a lot of people are, when you find the right niche, he's Grant Cardoning his business, right, Steve? He's got 10X stuff.
10X.
What's he do? I think it's this.
That's it. Yeah.
10X himself. So we're super blessed today. We'll have Mike LeJeune on in just a minute from RSM Federal. And so they are great, a great firm, helps companies do business with the government. So we'll bring him in a second and just talk about, hey, what's happening new now in the federal fiscal year? What are some of the changes? How can RSM Federal help you do business with the government? And so, Steve, how's life over at GSU? What's happening happening over there? Things.
Yeah, well, we just had our best month ever as well, Jack. So yeah, really excited about Gov Sales University, because a lot of people, I don't know if they're tuning into this GovCast or they hear it through the grapevine, but there's been a lot of exposure as far as the government still buying. And with the private sector, some businesses were shutting down, and when they kind of pivoted and started focusing on public sector sales in addition to their private sector, they found a new revenue they never even thought about. And that's really what our goal is, just to increase awareness and teach you the steps from start to finish on how to win your first government deal. Yeah. So if you never thought about government sales, glad you're tuning in now, because we're here to teach you. There's a lot of resources out there, and that's why we bring on the special guests. But if you're looking for an online training program, we have over 70 videos of now. We keep adding to that library. And we also include bid notifications. So if you want opportunities delivered to you, you can always set up your parameters based on your keywords and have them come right to your inbox. And that's just like getting a gift on Christmas. You go in the morning, you see an opportunity, and that's an agency that's looking to buy. So we teach you everything start to finish. So if you need more information, just go down to govsalesuniversity.com and we'll be here to help you out.
For you, look like they normally do for the guests.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So thank you, Team GovCast. Appreciate that.
That's super great. Dre, any funny stories from wrapping up your quarter, wrapping up the end of the fiscal year from your side?
I probably have a lot. I should have thought about this, because I literally should start writing them down as they happen. But what I was going to say was, so after you learn a little bit about how to sell to the government from Steven, you should talk to me, because then I can literally show you everybody who's buying anything you sell. So we all have different things that we say, right? But I say the government buys everything from pizza to software. Yeah. So anything in between, any product or service that you guys sell, I can type that in, show you every single school or agency that's ever bought that. That way you know where to focus your time.
Yes. I don't know if I'm sure no one was watching the debate. It's very calm, cool, and collected. I don't know if you saw what Joe Biden actually mentioned. He goes, the government buys everything. He goes, I don't know. He had some phrase. He went from blank to blank, and he goes, we're going to make sure it's all as much as possible U.S. based. Did you hear that during the debate? He literally, I was like, if he says, what's the new one you got, Steven? From something to ships? What is he saying?
Paper clips to battleships.
Yeah, if he says something like that, I'm going to tag. But Biden, like literally in the middle of the debate, said the government buys everything from something to something. I was like, I just perked up. I'm like,
oh man, we got to get that sound bite. Right, yeah, we got to find that.
You didn't see it? I was like, man, that's really good. I was like, he's been watching the GovCast. So great.
I tuned out for a little, sorry.
I don't know why. It was so calm, cool, collected. Two adults talking, interacting, talking about the future of the country. So calm.
Perfect timing.
Perfect. That
nailed it.
Perfect. On that note, let's bring in Michael LeJeune, Michael's partner at RMS Federal. So, Michael, welcome to the show. Thank you.
Hey, Michael.
Hey, nice to be here, everybody.
You got some lights in the back. Look, you're making it happen back there.
Hey, I live in Illinois, so it's like really cold and dark all the time. So we have to add some light, or else, like depression sets in just for the fact that we live in Illinois. So,
hey, man, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Can't keep the lights on too much in Illinois though, because we're the state's broke, and I don't want to hurt the state too much.
Well, at least look, if you're in California, they wouldn't even be able to fire them up. You'd plug them in.
Exactly. They just wouldn't work. I think all the bulbs were broken. So
they can't even get the electricity out in California to the house.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Thank you so much for joining the show. Can you tell our audience about your background and obviously at RSM Federal?
Sure. Real quick, I'm an Army veteran. I was in the Army back in 95 to 99, got out. For some reason, thought I would get into government contracting. So I went into like the defense area, started out in the help desk. Within about 18 months, I was actually the acting CEO of this really small company, had zero clue what I was doing. So I was working in like the post 9/11 era in my sales career, like learning how to do sales. And we were doing really crazy things like sending George Bush packets of stuff in the mail, which I don't know if you've ever done that post 9/11.
That is solid. They love that.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. Like, so I had an ex-CIA guy that was on my team, and he's like, "Hey, here's the fax number for the war room." So I was like, "Cool, man, let's fax 195 pages literally to George Bush's war room and see if we can do this unsolicited proposal," because I had no idea what I was doing, right? So we were doing stuff like that. We found the hard way, like how to do government contracting. And then my partner Josh and I got together, built RSM Federal, and we've written a bunch of books. You can find stuff like this little guy on Amazon. It's
they were talking. A couple of our shows, they were talking about some of the books you all put out.
Yeah. So we got the Government Sales Manual. We have the Insider's Guide to Winning Government Contracts, and then our one last year is based on our podcast. So this kind of gets into what we do. Is this one here? We brought everybody that had been on the podcast. We had them write a chapter in the book, put that out. And we're working on a couple of books right now. So I like writing. I like the marketing and media stuff. But then we built the training system, similar to what you guys do, on how to win government contracts. So there's like all our knowledge base and stuff in Federal Access that we built. And then Josh does a lot of the coaching and stuff like that. And I'm behind the scenes. I hate to say I'm the face of the company in a lot of ways because we look alike. So you never know which one it is. They'll call each of us Josh or Mike, whatever. But I'm out there doing a lot of the marketing and stuff like that for the company. And just kind of educating people on how this really isn't that hard. You just have to, get in it and go after it. So I really appreciate what you guys are doing on the side too, because I really think there needs to be more people like us in the market trying to demystify this thing because it's not that hard.
Well, listen, I said we had a webinar a couple weeks ago, and it ruffles some people's feathers in the industry. It's like some folks like that, they live on that. They live on making it more confusing. And actually, it is like it's like anything else. If you take on a new hobby, a new interest in life, like when you first jump in, it's all new and the acronyms and all that. But once you get your feet wet, there is a way to repeat, and have great success. And so it's not this ogre-y, monster-y thing.
Yeah.
So many vendors make it out to be, right?
Yeah. For me, I always tell people the good thing and the bad thing about the government is they really haven't changed a whole lot in like the last 50 years. So, and I don't expect a whole lot of change in the next 50 years in some of their foundational stuff. Like there's new laws and things that pop up and minor changes here and there. But how you win a contract hasn't changed a lot. It's just gone from pen and paper and fax machines to, it's more digital now. That's really it. So like once they figure out how to win one, you can win more. It's not that hard.
Yeah. Can you bring that book back? Look, because that book, the first one, I think a couple of our guests have mentioned, they said that's the Bible. So show folks that thing, right? So that's like if you're trying, you got a little glare. Yeah, make sure they say it. Yep.
Yeah.
So that is the Government Sales. What is it? Manual. Yep.
Yeah, the Government Sales Manual. Yeah, and it is like a Bible. It's about as thick, right? Josh is very PowerPoint happy in here. That's a really big one there.
Reference that book several times. It's really good. Like hey, that is you got to go get that as you're getting your feet wet. So if you're looking for a resource, because a lot of times folks are like, what can I buy or what thing can I set on? And so I said it was a great foundation. It's great.
Yeah, and the cool thing is, a lot of these resources don't cost a fortune. They don't. And between this and a little bit of the Googling you can do, I do highly recommend you be careful, when you Google stuff, because you'll hear some really wild stuff. So always vet that with a source like us or you guys to make sure you're not, totally off your rocker, because that's the biggest challenge I see for most people that get in the market is a lot of disinformation. So they get in and think, hey, if I go get my SDVOSB or my 8A or my whatever, it's this golden ticket, money's going to rain down from the heavens. And that's not true. They also don't necessarily understand just the free resources, whether it's beta.sam or the old FPDS, like just making sure the government, I know they buy pizza to whatever, or paper clips to battleships, right? But are they really buying what you sell? Is it locked down in category management or something else? Can you even get in the market right now, or do you need to wait 3 to 5 years to enter the market? And then how are you going to enter the market? Like there's so much misinformation that they think, well, I'm out of work, so I'll just sell to the government. And that's not always the case. Like you got to figure that out, but you can literally find it out in a couple hours worth of research. You can use one of these free sites. You don't have to hire a consultant for 10 grand to say, yes, you can do this or no, you can't, that sort of thing.
Yeah, Michael, I have a question for you, because we know it's, October 1st. So it's starting a whole new fiscal year for the federal agencies. And when it comes down,
he's like, why is that guy in the graduation outfit? That's what he's like. That's
you know what?
That's what. We had no pre-meetings. Look, he's like, what is going on?
I work from home and I have kids, so there's literally nothing that you could throw at me that I would be like, yeah, that's out of the ordinary.
Whoa!
Like, this is just normal. I'm like, why is it so calm? Yeah.
And by the way, I love the background there. You put up that wood yourself with the
We
panels?
We did that ourselves. So I'll never do that again.
Yeah, I felt that. Yeah, we put the glue on the back and stuck them up and stained them. With
Yeah.
I know about it. So question is, everybody, we're like the past 2 months, we've been talking about the end of fiscal year, agencies federal purchases the most in like the last week. And it's really a buying frenzy, use it or lose it funds.
Yep.
But then, by the time you get like 2 weeks out before the end of the fiscal, like sometimes it's too late. Like if you don't have your relationships built, and I watch your videos, helping people win contracts, 6 months to a year, but today's one, right? Today's the first day I want to start selling to the government or selling to the federal government.
Yeah.
What do you recommend people do? Like where should they get their feet wet if they're going to go? Like say they have their like DUNS in their cage code and they're registered on Beta SAM. Like what's really the next step for them?
And this is really, it doesn't matter what time of year for me. Like the thing you should be doing all the time is you should be looking at that data that's in those systems, the beta.sam, see just the foundation of who buys what you sell, looking up that and then starting to build the relationships with them. But I'll put it this way. There's some people that are like, look, techniques and strategies and a battle plan, not my thing. Where can I go on a website and how can I take an action today? A really tactical strategy. And for me, it's like, okay, well, go on beta.sam, look up in there the current opportunities, find a contracting officer and reach out to them. You don't have to reach out to them about that opportunity. You can simply reach out and say, hey, I saw this opportunity.
You're talking about.
It must have been the hat. You scared him away.
Oh, look, see? Look, I was like,
like just the foundation of starting that relationship is a big deal.
Yep.
We lost you mid-answer.
Yeah, but
so,
I think
that was the upgrade to hear the rest of that answer part. So like you have to pay to hear that. It doesn't come in.
That's right. There's
a secret sauce right there.
Right. We have a fee-based GovCast. You gotta dial in. That's $5 to hear.
That's right. Right. If you want the good stuff, you got to pay for that segment only. That's the way that works. So.
Oh, that's great. But to connect the dots where Michael was going with that, because I say the same things myself. You identify the bids and the opportunities and you find the name on there just to reach out at any given time. Because let's face it, right? You might not even want to compete for that bid, but at least you know that they're buying that and developing that relationship. So it's a good way just to get your foot in the door and develop those connections. And if that's not what he said, I'm sure he'll correct me afterwards.
Is that, how do you know he was going to say that?
Well, it's just the way he was leading it, because that is a great strategy and something we teach. So,
yeah, I would say for our audience, I'm sure Michael will queue back up when the internet comes back to Illinois. He said they were running out of money, so maybe they turned off the internet in Illinois. That RSM Federal has some of the best, seriously, infographics and some of the best stats available. So I highly encourage you to go to their website, their social media stuff. There's a lot of great information they have. They take the data, consolidate, put a lot of great infographics. I love their website. When I reached out to Michael and his partner, I was like, man, how does all this get created? It's just a couple of those folks. And he said they love the marketing piece. He said his partner loves writing. So they put out a ton of stuff that's super, super helpful. It's one of the reasons I want to have him on the show today. So hopefully he'll pop back in. And so, Stephen, you said, how would somebody pursue that business, right? So what would be your best advice, Dre? What's your best advice to have somebody as they start out the new fiscal year? They're looking at stuff. You run into, clients all the time that hearing about it. Like how do you start the process with them?
Don't just buy a bid service and hope that you win a bid. So I talk to people all the time and I'm like, so what kind of strategies do you have in place? Like, how does your team make sure that they're being proactive? And they're like, oh, well, we get all the bids. I'm like, oh, so that would be a little more reactive. What about proactive, right? So I would say don't just respond to bids, but instead you want to create relationships and partnership with these agencies. That way you can either help write the bid or they're just buying from you directly.
Did they turn off the internet in Illinois too? I know you said they were running short of money. Is that what they did?
I think so. They only can run it for so many minutes at a time. And then they gotta take a break.
Get that hamster back. Be like, come on, couple time enough.
Yeah, the hamster probably died. Is probably what happened. They had to replace it, and it's not like a live thing you can do. So it's just what we're stuck with. So yeah. The third time, or
no, we still got you.
We're good now.
What the fake out? Michael? Can you talk about RSM Federal? Like, can you talk about your company? Like, what is your target client look like, and what is your firm trying to get done, and how do you help direct folks that are interested in winning government business?
Yeah, we used to have like a target revenue range of people, and then we found that we have clients that don't even have a business yet that are coming to us, and we found companies that are $1 billion a year and coming to us saying, I can't really figure out this market. So most of our clients are in the position where they're either trying to break into the federal market or they just don't understand it. They're sort of, I would say, halfway doing it at best, and they need to figure out how to actually put together a system and a strategy on how they're going to approach the market.
Yeah, amen. That's so good.
Yeah. We typically don't work with the local governments. So to me, it's like there's too much to deal with state and local. So let's just do it the Fed market. That's just the easiest one. It's got the most money. So let's go after that one. And that's where we focus on teaching clients how to do that, whether it's through some of our membership stuff, our books and resources, or whether we're coaching them. So it's you're new to the market or you've been in it and you're frustrated. That's a really good place. Size of the company doesn't really matter.
Got it.
So I've got a question. So I don't know if you got to hear any of it when you were coming back in. So we were talking about a couple of things I tell companies not to do, right? So for me, my advice is, hey, if you want to start working with the government, don't just sit there and wait for a bid to come out. It's unlikely that you win it. So Are there any pieces of advice that you maybe tell customers, do not do this if you want to work with the government?
Yeah, no, I think that's really sound advice that you're talking about there. It's, the number one thing is don't just respond to RFPs. Like if the first time you heard about it is the RFP, you probably already lost. We've heard that before. So don't just respond to RFPs. Like if I see an RFP, to me, that's a great way to say, okay, they buy what I sell. Let me pick up the phone and just talk to them. Let me start building the relationship because I can see, that Bob Smith at Fort Hood buys technology that I sell. He's my buyer. Yep. I need to talk to him. So I can say, hey, I just saw this on, on beta.sam. And I want to work with you guys. How do I start that? Obviously I'm simplifying it for time, but between that and I do really like the sources sought. Those are great ways. But at the end of the day, just picking up the phone and starting the relationship from hey, I want to work with you guys. Don't know how to do it. I've done that before. Pick up, call a contracting officer and say, hey, I see that you guys buy this stuff. Yep. I have no clue what I'm doing. Could you help me? Could you point me in the right direction? And that's not even looking at their resources. The other thing is all of these people are on LinkedIn. So reaching out to them on LinkedIn. In fact, before I even, talk to somebody, and I know you asked me for what you don't do, but what you should do is reach out to them on LinkedIn, connect with them there, respond to a few of their things so that when you do call, they know you. So I typically wouldn't just pick up the phone unless I am that just tactical guy that I just want to do something. I would probably start with LinkedIn, somewhere else, make a connection, get a little bit warm and fuzzy with them, and then go for other stuff. But that's where I would start.
Folks on the government side are human beings. I know they have this thing.
They all are. And what's the worst they could say to you? The worst thing they could do is put a chicken thing on their head and yell at you for 15 minutes. Like that's the worst thing they can do to you, right? So it's not that big a deal. Chicken, shark, whatever. It looks like a chicken from here.
It changes like every 5 minutes. I don't know what kind of magic or sorcery is going on over there. But.
So
what's coming next? Because I need one. I have nothing here.
This new fiscal year, I got to break out some stuff. I got some new.
Yeah, it's cool technology. So for me, I'm just not afraid to just talk to people. And the worst thing that's going to happen is they say, "Hey, I don't have time." Later, and then they go, oh, let me write that down. So every time I see that on caller ID, I don't answer the phone, right? That's the worst that's going to happen most of the time. They're just people.
I think the government folks too are always looking for sources, are always looking for stuff. They don't know what's coming. Like if somebody said, hey, here's masks and stuff before COVID, people are like, why do I care? Then all of a sudden they had a major.
To me, I heard you guys talking about COVID earlier. COVID's the best thing that ever happened to us. It's been fantastic. It's like the crazy amount of growth. And even I've seen with our clients where they have more time to focus on what's important instead of, commuting and all the other stuff that just sucks time. So it's been really good for a lot of companies.
Yeah. Can you talk about, Michael, have you seen any new initiatives? I think there's a new standard for simplified acquisition. There's obviously the new, you mentioned beta.sam.gov, right? That's out now. Maybe we'll get rid of beta sometime. Any new things you see in the new fiscal year as we go in now at the start of 2021 for the federal government? Are there any legal requirements, any changes, any notable things that you guys are tracking that would be helpful to our audience?
I haven't seen anything that we haven't been talking about all year. So there's nothing on my radar right now that we haven't been talking about for the whole year. I know CMMC is one of those where it's like, hey, when is it actually going to be a thing? Well, it's sort of been a thing at level 1 for like 30 years, and they just formalized it through this process. So you're already supposed to be kind of following that stuff. But I don't see anything right now. We're in this odd situation, which I just did a podcast on, election 2020. And to me, the worst part.
Very smooth.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's going to be really smooth.
Very, very smooth.
Yeah. To me, the worst part of government contracting is always in an election year from like October, November to that January timeframe. And then if anytime the presidency changes hands, anytime, the Senate or House changes hands, then you're waiting till that January timeframe to see what the impact is. When things don't change hands, then as soon as the elections are over, it's kind of back to business as usual. So that's the biggest thing that I caution people is, watch that type of stuff. Don't hold back, but really the election's going to determine the speed at which we actually pick up government contracting. Is it really going to pick up on November 4th? Is it going to pick up on, January 22nd? Or is it going to be March before we start to see the pickup? And the different things that happen in the election will be the biggest tale of that. So
that's a great point. Yeah, I would say for our audience, like it's a sincere thing. Like no matter what happens with the presidency, right? Especially if there's a change of administration, the people that work for the government have been there typically decades, right?
Yeah, exactly.
30 years. And so, if they know that change of administration is coming, they kind of know what comes with that. And they will slow play a lot of things because they know kind of the priorities will change pretty drastically, as we all know at this point. So it is a really big thing. Not only will it change politically, but the spending and where the money is spent and how it's directed. And always remember, there's people behind it. Like the president might change, and he or she might, have some new dictates. But the folks that are there every day to day, they've seen this happen so many times. Some of it they let go off their shoulder, and some of it they actually do change their priorities, right? They do actually change their behavior. So
and that's where I look at it. People are like, oh, well, what if this president versus that president? Like, I really don't care. Obviously, this party is going to typically spend this sort of money, and this party is going to try to shift some money and do different things. But they're still buying, the old saying of beans, bullets. All those, they're still buying all of those things. It's just, are we going to invest more in healthcare? Are we going to invest more in this? Are we going to have some new website initiative thing that happens like Obamacare did? Or, are we going to have those kind of things happen? And when the administration stays the same, you're like, okay, it's sort of 4 more years with some slight changes. When it shifts, you're like, okay, what surprises? So I actually tend to not like a lot of the big administration changes from a government contracting perspective, just because of that period just gets longer. So instead of having 1 or 2 months, we may have 4 or 5 months of uncertainty, and then all of a sudden it starts rolling. And so the worst election cycle is always the 8 years after a president's been in there. So there's uncertainty. You just don't know the degree of uncertainty. Yeah. So those always suck. But,
that's a great point, Mike. I would say like at least 60% is rinse and repeat items. Things that they're going to need to buy for toilet paper. Everybody needs it. It's going to
rinse and repeat. That's a new one. That's in there.
Yeah. Throwing some new mix in here. But I was on the RSM Federal website, and it was funny because I just had a call literally yesterday. New student, Gov Sales University, they're getting involved with the government. And he was talking about writing a capability statement. Mm-hmm. And I said, hey, that's not something that we do. But then I went on your website and I saw you had like templates there, right? Yep. People could download. So when someone's like, trying on their own to write a capability statement, is there any like common mistakes that you see or things that they should do to make sure that everything's buttoned up and looks the best it can be?
Yeah, I think the number one mistake is where you look like the jack of all trades, right? So I look at your capability statement, and I've seen this before where somebody had like 57 NAICS codes on it. And I'm like, so what do you do?
Everything.
Like, I really can't. So like,
I do whatever they need, whatever pays the most money.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Yeah. So you have like janitorial supplies, then cybersecurity and construction. And I'm like,
I've seen websites with that on there too. And it's,
so for me, the biggest thing is when it comes to like your NAICS codes and things like that, pick the top 3 or 4 on your main capability statement. Then I always tell people, don't even give that to a contracting officer when you're talking to them. Have the conversation and then adjust that. So like if I'm having the conversation and we're talking mainly about cybersecurity, I'm going to put that as my top NAICS code. And then I'm going to send, again, Bob Smith is going to get that version of my capability statement because that's exactly what we were talking about. And I'll even adjust my bio a little bit. But looking at your bio, the other thing is I will see this all the time. And this kind of spills over into like your 45-second pitch when you're talking to people, is most bios will say something along the lines of, RSM Federal was founded in 1981 by Josh and Mike, and they're both service-disabled veteran on blah, 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 blah. And there's all this crap in there, and there's no value. So there's like 3 sentences of garbage that I don't care about instead of like some metrics. Like, so what do you do for your clients? How do you serve them? What have you actually accomplished as a company versus you were founded in this year, you're an SC. Like, your value is not your status. We say that all the time. Like, that's not your value. And so you've got to be able to put something in there of what your value is, get your clear NAICS codes. So like those 2 things match up, because you also don't want to say we're the #1 supplier of toilet paper in the United States, and then your first NAICS code is cybersecurity. Like those things, like when those things don't match up, people are like, what in the hell, right?
It sounds like you're giving advice for people as well, like writing resumes, right?
Yeah,
like if you have people
for anything, right?
Sales, marketing, it's like, just tailor it, talk about that specific role that you're applying for.
Exactly.
Make sure, you're doing it. That's good.
It's the same. It really is. When you look at your capability statement, it is a bit of a resume. Yeah. And so it's a short resume on what the company has done. And you just need to speak to those things. But again, I go back to the metrics, like highlight that stuff. So I don't know if you guys know Doc Wright. I think he was either on the podcast or whatever. And when I was going through with Doc's stuff, I'm like, so you do program management, this, that, and the other. I'm like, you guys have certified over 860 program managers in the last couple of years. That should be in your first sentence.
Tangible. Yep.
Your PMs manage $6.5 billion worth of portfolio assets every year. That should be in there. They work with 550 of the Fortune 1000 companies. That should be in there. Yep. Like stuff like that. So
why would somebody hire you? Why would they hire you over someone else, right?
Yeah, why would they hire you over someone else versus, again, the generic person that says, we've been in the project management industry for 37 years. Okay, so you've managed to not die and stay in the industry. Like, that is not your value.
We're not dead. We're not dead.
Yeah, you've outlasted people. Like that's not helping anything. So
no, that's good. Thank you.
I was going to ask, so we've spent a lot of time on the show talking about social media and leveraging LinkedIn. And so I know you touched on that a little bit, right? Instead of just picking up the phone, maybe try messaging them. But what other advice or tips do you have for using LinkedIn?
So based on our earlier part of the discussion, not getting political, let's start there. So it really doesn't matter, what side of the coin you're on there. You're gonna offend most of the people. And like LinkedIn is one of those platforms where that's just not where we're at. And so if my business was political, like if I was, one of these pundits with you guys have the permission to hunt me down and shoot me if I ever, change into that. But if I was in that business, then it's totally appropriate to put that on LinkedIn because, people are expecting that. But when you are in IT and all you do is rant about Biden or rant about Trump, like they don't want to see that. They want to see the, what you do and those sort of things. So when I'm looking at the social media stuff, it's like stay in your lane as much as possible. That's a big thing. So if somebody posts about something like political, you also don't go comment on it. There's no need for you to say and be the LinkedIn police.
Yeah, he is a big jerk.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this is stupid. You're an idiot, and I hope your business goes under. Like I've seen people say that. So like, don't do any of that type of stuff. You don't need any of that garbage. So like, just being able to understand the etiquette of it. Number one, then number two, it's like actively connecting with people. So like we have a strategy in here. I paid my daughter over the summer. She's 15 years old. I paid her $12 an hour. I'm like, here's the search I want you to do, and I want you to connect with everybody that's in there. And then once they connect with you, here's the message I want you to send them. Just a simple intro message. There's no sales pitch, no nothing. That's the other thing is I never do a sales pitch. It's, hey, I really value my connections. If you ever need anything, you know how to reach me. Yeah. That's it.
Yep.
It's just really, really simple. And just connecting with more people to grow your network, starting a conversation with them, and then going through at least once a week or so, looking through your feed, commenting on stuff that you really feel is relevant and that you want to comment on. And I'll comment and say more than, hey, great comment. Like I'll actually post a sentence or something along those times just to interact with those people because you'll build relationships. I've got contracting officers that I've connected with. And it took me probably about 3 months of just commenting here or there. And then after about 3 months, I noticed they were listening to my podcast. Then after a month or two of listening to my podcast, they were saying, hey, we've got an opportunity that just went out. Are you going to bid on this? I'm like, no, but thanks. So like they just start to interact with you more because they like you. And we go back to the whole concept of people work with people they know, like, and trust, and they'll build that with you if you just interact with them and be, an actual nice human being on social media. So
is there, what's the best, I'm sorry. Did you have something else, Jay?
I just said good advice.
Thanks.
What's the best of RSM Federal right now? When you're sitting around, you're thinking about, hey, what's happening with our clients? What were the big initiatives? Obviously, elections coming. Is there do you direct folks to a certain spot on your website? Like, what's the best of what you folks are doing now that you kind of share with folks or feel like it's most applicable to the most number of folks?
So like the biggest thing right now that we drive people to is our membership site. So RSM is our parent company. Federal Access is our membership platform. So federal-access.com. There's just so many training resources. There's a free level. And so if you just want to be free and get a handful of training videos and some documents, the capability templates, there's a handful in there. And then there's some DIY versions. So like, hey, I don't need consulting or anything like that, but I really need to educate myself in the market. I think we have a couple hundred videos, 300-400 documents. So there's so much stuff. They could just DIY learn the market. And that's where I'm sending a lot of people initially. Cause like for very low cost, while you're sitting at home, playing with your cat and watching Netflix, with COVID, you can be on here and actually learning something. And I think as you educate yourself, then you have not only more questions, you have better questions. And that's when it's time to engage other people like all of us on here today. So
yeah, so true. So true. Steve.
Where are we right now with all these costumes?
It's Happy New Year. I don't know what part didn't you do? You didn't get the memo? It's happy.
I have my flannel for fall. That's where I'm at.
That's your total outfit is flannel.
There you go.
Big failure on the New Year. So CVB, hey, you got a last question?
No, I've been following Michael, so it's a pleasure to finally meet you. And definitely a guy I was speaking with yesterday. I'm going to hook you up after the show because
awesome.
Definitely think he could use your help with capability statements. What is it? You offer like consulting, hold their hand and work with them?
Well, yeah, we'll hold their hand. So, we'll hold their hand and coach them right through all the stuff. And again, it's not hard. And so my goal actually, when we bring somebody on consulting is how quickly can we get them off? Like how quickly can we build a system for them, alongside with them and get them up and running. And then as they need, like they've got bigger issues they want to tackle, then they can bring us back in as needed. But that's kind of how we work with clients. So
is there a particular spot in the process before they win a deal that you want to focus on, Michael? Like, do we've talked to many folks over the last several months from helping us proposal. I'll get you on GSA schedule. I'll help you I'll do the capture piece. We'll help you do business development. Is there a way, or is there in that world between I want to sell to the government and I want a deal? Is there a spot where you guys would prefer to interact with someone?
Not necessarily a preferred spot. I mean, I think that's a great place when they come to us and they're wanting to do it. They're wanting to do it right. And they're wanting to do it right the first time. So being able to come in there early and say, so how are you communicating your past performance? How are you communicating the value you have? That is, the earlier, the better. That way they're not in the situation where some people will come to us and say, well, I've gone after like 35 RFPs and I've won none.
Yeah,
we don't want that.
Killer. I'm back out. I'm back out of the government space. I hate the government space.
Yeah. Because most people are like that. They haven't won anything, so why keep doing it, right? Yep. So the earlier, the better. That way we can make sure they are communicating that value properly. They understand how to respond to an RFP. They understand that, hey, just because you see it online doesn't mean you respond to it. Like, we can help them with all those tips and tricks before they go wrong. And so if my preference is the earlier the better, but if they have gotten into a spot where they're deep into this and they're committed and they're making mistakes, then we'll probably dial it back and to the beginning and build them a firm foundation, and so they can restart. So
that's so great for audience. Listen, again, if you're going to start in the federal world, to call RSM Federal will be huge, because not everyone does that. Some folks want you to be much, much further down the road, right? So really important. Like, they'll take you from the infancy all the way through the process, which is so, so important.
Yep.
Trey, any last words you got?
No, I think that was good. The only last thing I was going to ask you was just in terms of like our clientele, right? I work with companies that sell to Fed, state, and local, but some haven't really done as much federal. So do you see a lot of people coming to you that have a lot of experience, like in the education market, and now want to get into federal?
Yeah, I see a lot of that, actually. And, my thing is, if you understand the techniques and strategies, you can apply it to grow any of those markets. So it's the same process. It's usually different politics and different websites. So like the state or local municipality, they're going to use a different RFP process, but you're probably still going to write an RFP, or an RFQ or whatever it is. And so you still need to understand that difference of, how do I separate myself, the differentiation piece? How do I communicate my value and past performance that says I can actually do this job? It's the exact same stuff. It's just, who are you selling to that changes slightly. And so anything that we teach, that's how we focus on. Like, it's a market agnostic. In fact, you should be doing this in your commercial business as well, because guess what? Commercial people are looking at your stuff and scratching your head the same way the government is, because they don't understand why you're selling toilet paper and, cybersecurity. They don't get it. So they want an expert, not a generalist. So
we talk about all the time. You can bring 80 to 90% of what you're doing on the private side over to the government, and it's just kind of tweaking a little bit and kind of honing it in and making sure that you're meeting all the kind of acronyms and the process the government likes, but so much of it is the same, right?
Yeah, it's exactly the same stuff. So,
Michael, how can folks reach you or RSM Federal? What's the best way for folks to reach out to your firm and you?
Yeah, the best way to do it, you can go on rsmfederal.com. All our contact information's on there. Also, you can go on LinkedIn. I'm very easy to find. However, there are like 5 Mike LeJeunes that do consulting. I'm not the aerospace guy, and I'm not the transportation guy. I'm the other guy. I post a lot more stuff than the other guys, and I'm younger and good looking. So like, I have that on those other guys. They're all older than me. So
there you go. The link is below. So if you're trying to get a hold of Michael on LinkedIn, there is his link below. Again, RSM Federal is one of the best content providers out there, particularly. And again, for our audience, if you're trying to jump into the government market, not every firm will take somebody from infancy all the way through the process. It's so important. Reach out to them. They are phenomenal. Great resource. You're trying to win federal business. Amen. Especially in the new fiscal year. Go do your thing. All right, bro. Thank you so much.
Everybody.
Thanks so much, Michael.
I appreciate it. Keep the lights on. God bless. So funny. That's good.
I wanted to come do that to my room.
Right, come back. Well, you got a nice little background there, Dre.
Your background looks nice.
This room used to be pink and purple, and it had the little girls. In each of the blocks, it had her name in cursive.
See, now it's all white. You just washed it out. It's all beach style. And you live in the South Florida beach life. See, he's living the Midwest. Like good kind of Steve. I guess Steven loves that. So we'll do Steve. The next show we're gonna do the do the HGTV working.
That's up my alley. That's me every weekend, man. But we're here for the government people.
We'll
so
find the Gaines. Look, GovCast team. Let's get the Gaineses on. Get Joanna and what's her husband?
Oh, please.
What's that?
Yeah, I said, please. We've been talking about federal for a little while. I'm happy it's the new year. Let's talk about something different next week.
We're gonna mix it up now. We're gonna change.
No, guys. We have an audience to deliver information to. You're getting way too off topic here. We got to reel it back in.
We'll have the Gaineses in. We'll talk. The government buys everything. They buy home improvement, home stuff. So, well, hey, congratulations. Welcome everybody to the new, again, federal fiscal year. RSM Federal is a great resource. Again, not very few firms will take you from nothing to help you win the process. For them to say, hey, come see us early and we'll help you along the way is a great resource. So encourage you, reach out to them. You'll see their stuff. Super professional group. It's super helpful. And so, Stevie B, anything else you want to add?
I'm this way, Jack.
I know. I'm used to being on that side. So
I know.
Yeah, you guys are in different spots today.
I'm not used to pointing that way.
Oh, Team GovCast. We got to mix this up a little bit.
All right.
But yeah, everybody that attended our webinar, we're hosting another one. It is going to be at the end of this month. So book your calendars now. It's going to be the 28th. The 28th at 12 o'clock noon Eastern time.
For Halloween, are costumes welcome?
Yes, we always encourage costumes. Jack, look at Jack. He went through 5 costume changes this. So just a little precursor. We'll be doing some marketing stuff, but the 28th at 12 o'clock, we're going to be doing a whole hour event again. So we're not going to have this episode. We're actually going to be live. Well, actually, it's on a Wednesday. So that's going to be a busy week. Tuesday.
A lot of information. Steve, you'll be like, people will be so smart. The end of that, Halloween day, they're going to be so smart.
We got to give out candy. We got to give something to keep them energized while they're watching all the content.
There you go. Amen.
I wonder if there'll be trick-or-treaters this year. I would imagine no, because of COVID. No parent probably wants
kids. Trying to kill. Yeah, they're trying to kill.
Hold on. I don't know if I have it. We got my dog's costume the other day, and it's so cute.
What? Well, come on.
Hold on, I should have planned for this. I don't keep talking for a minute while I pull it up. It's really funny though, and he's going to be a mailman, like delivery guy. I'll show you.
I think I'm going to be a dean for Halloween. I got a costume right here.
Well, there it is. Look, he's
so cute. He looks like he's smiling.
Swiffer's in the thing.
That's so cool.
You got to just sit him out front as the kids come. So
we did that. He was Superman last year, and he had, it looked like he had little pecs. It was really funny.
There you go. Listen, thank you, everybody. Hope you got something out of today's show. We are celebrating the end of the new fiscal year. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week to start the fall. Here we go. You for everybody else. Let's go. See you on Tuesday at noon. God bless. Stay safe out there. Woo!